Welcome to this episode of The Wisdom of Paramahansa Yogananda, brought to you by Self-Realization Fellowship, where each week you can receive inspiration and guidance from Paramahansa Yogananda's Kriya Yoga teachings. The subject of this episode is Attuning Our Lives to the Love of God by our revered President, Brother Chidananda.
Loving greetings and pranams in the name of our great Gurudev Paramahansa Yogananda, with his love and blessings to each of you. I can't tell you what a joy I feel in my heart to know that he is blessing each of you who have come to this gathering today, and that we have this time together to spend in his spirit, in his presence, and to rejoice and to strengthen our connection with that divine link that he represents to the higher consciousness, to the presence of God. Welcome, each one of you. Welcome and blessings. I want to just begin by asking a divine blessing on each one of you from our eternal Father, Mother, friend, and beloved of the universe. Oh, great God, bless each one of these souls. Flow through their hearts and minds, so that your love and wisdom and joy and blessings may flow through each one of them to find a greater expression in this material world. They are your own, Father, Mother, friend, beloved. They are your own. And our great Gurus, Jesus Christ, Bhagavan Krishna, Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Sri Yukteswar, and Gurudev Paramahansa Yogananda, flow out over this gathering in great waves of love, great waves of joy, of wisdom, of divine consciousness. Bathe and suffuse these souls with the reality of your presence. Fill them with your love. Fill them with your joy. Fill them with your peace and strength. Father, Mother, friend, beloved God, we bow to you. Be thou ever more real to us as we meditate and live our lives in the light of the great Kriya Yoga teachings of our Gurudev and Param Gurus. With your blessings, by your grace and power, may these things come to pass. Om, Om, Om. Peace. Amen. I'm just taking a minute to look out over your faces to connect with each one of you. And again, what a joy it is for me to not only be here on my first trip to Australia, but to be welcomed by what a divine and joyous and loving welcome of Guruji's spiritual family. I bring to you the greetings and the love of all of our monks and nuns in Guruji's ashrams, and indeed of the great family of SRF and YSS devotees around the world. You know, part of the purpose of visits like this, I always feel, is to reinforce that sense of connection, that sense of spiritual kinship, spiritual bonds, that we are part of a dynamic global sangha, divine fellowship, a global fellowship of souls. We're united in divine friendship, in mutual support. And you know, this is a very real force that each of us can draw upon, can find strength in and encouragement to the degree that we use that bond to identify with that bond and consciously draw upon the blessings of that divine fellowship. Visualize just for a moment. This is how I see Guruji's great family of SRF and YSS around the world, that in this great body of self-realization fellowship, spiritual body, there are awakened nerve centers all over the world. Awakened nerve centers, each center, meditation group, even each family of devotees, each one represents a nucleus, you might say, a link in that neural network, uniting globally all around the world this spiritual fellowship, self-realization fellowship. Each of those centers, each of those links, you might say, each of those contributes to the presence, to the power, to the expression in this world of our great lineage of gurus and our Gurudev Paramahansa Yogananda. That's why our Guru envisioned many years ago, when he first started his work, coming from India to the United States and then growing from there all around the world. That's why he envisioned this network of meditation centers, as he said, to establish in the homes and the hearts of people all over the world a temple of God, a temple of meditation, a temple of that living communion, which is the promise of the Kriya Yoga science that he brought. So together we should feel that each of us in our daily lives, no matter where we are on this great, huge planet, wherever we are, we should feel that our meditations, our prayers, our participation in that great worldwide prayer circle, that each one of these is helping to maintain that invisible spiritual sanctuary, not made by human hands, but made by the divine hands and the divine consciousness of our revered Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, our master, we call him, one who is master of the science of yoga, master of himself, and most important, here to show how each of us can have that same mastery. So it's a joy in the sense of this worldwide linkage of divine communion, it's a joy for me to have first-time personal contact with the Australian spiritual powerhouse. You may not know what a shining light you are. Never underestimate the power of a life that's attuned with God and Guru. It's a source of great blessings, and especially when we multiply that, as I said, by the thousands and ultimately will be millions around the world who are consciously attuning their lives to that flow of grace, that flow of love, wisdom, understanding, and compassion, and letting that manifest outwardly in all those that we come in contact with. So looking out at your faces, I almost want to stop talking, because the light and the blessing and the attunement and the sincerity. Sincerity is a portal. Sincerity creates a channel for gurus to work in our lives, for God to work in our lives. And I feel such a current, such a flow, such a light from each of you who so sincerely practices this sadhana, this spiritual discipline, this spiritual way of life that was brought to us by our Gurudev. I remember I was so touched a couple of years back. Remember when of course you remember, we went through that period of pandemic lockdown where we didn't have any in-person events. And I remember getting a message from the devotees here in the Sydney Center and talking about how when we started those online convocations, and we're broadcasting them, live streaming them from Los Angeles, and I was so touched to read about the retreat program that you all organized, and a group went up to nearby mountain, Blue Mountains, I think it was, Katoomba. Is that right? Did I say it correctly? You never know when you go to these countries, you know, it's always go out on thin ice when you start pronouncing words. Anyways, it was so wonderful to hear about that, and then year after year. And I never come before a group of Guruji's divine spiritual family without such a strong reinforcement of the conviction of what an amazing spiritual family all of you belong to. You know, this worldwide family of souls is no exaggeration in my mind, in my heart, in what I perceive, and I'm sure all of you as well. This worldwide spiritual family collectively represents the highest, the noblest, the deepest and purest, spiritually enlightening qualities of the soul. That's the family that we belong to, each in their own lives expressing in a different way, a different aspect, different mix of those divine qualities of the soul. And when you put it all together, what a great light, what a great power it becomes, and will continue to increasingly become. And those qualities, those attributes that all of you so beautifully make the effort, yes, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Those qualities that are increasingly becoming manifest in our great family of Self-Realization Fellowship devotees and YSS devotees, these are the very qualities that the world at large, the world as a whole, our whole family, human family, global family of souls, these are the qualities that the world must increasingly adopt and make the effort to express for us to advance into a higher era of civilization that is on its way, that we know is coming. So you belong to the spiritual family whose members have already made that commitment, have already made that dedication to that personal, transformational journey of self-realization toward the universal, the highest goal of human existence. So what a blessed family of souls you belong to. I really wanted to begin by dwelling on that, coming to a part of the world that I haven't visited before, and to acknowledge and to perhaps remind, if it's necessary to remind, each of you are part of that linkage. Each of you are part of that amazing spiritual family that our Guru was sent here to awaken, to serve, to love, to teach, and to reintroduce to God. Think about it. That is what a Guru does. That is the promise that the Guru makes as enjoined by God himself. The Guru is part of that divine process by which the eternal beloved is drawing each soul. That means all of us, all of you, each one are part of that process of evolution that our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda has been assigned, you might say, and he joyously took up that assignment. But think about what that means for each of you. He's made a promise to the Heavenly Father, to the Divine Mother, that he will take your soul back to God. And he doesn't make that promise lightly. He doesn't take that divine responsibility lightly. I think each of us, reflecting on that, we probably think, oh, Guruji, let me try to make it a little bit easier for you. I'll go a little deeper in meditation, be a little kinder in my speech, be a little more calm in my outer activities, just to make it a little bit easier for you, huh? Isn't that how the disciple responds to our Guru? Yes, yes, yes. You know, these last 5 or 6 years, it's been so wonderful just to witness what a great energizing and focusing, I would say, of the spiritual legacy that Paramahansaji left for all of us. I would say it's a crystallization, a bringing into finer focus, finer understanding for all of us of the amazing tools and the resources that he brought, not only for us, but for the world at large, for our entire world family to awaken into that more peaceful, more harmonious, more spiritually enlightened era of humanity. So we've seen over the last few years the new edition of the SRF YSS lessons in preparation for so many decades at Guruji's divine behest. And when they first made their debut, you might say, made their appearance 5 or 6 years ago, and then having that shortly followed by the deployment or the much greater use of digital technology, of the internet, to draw all of the spiritual nucleuses, you might say, of Guruji's worldwide family, to draw them closer together. And also for the streaming of much more content, the mobilization of our lay disciple order to aid in all of these things. All of these things have had the effect of drawing Guruji's worldwide Sangha, worldwide fellowship, so much closer together. And it's just been thrilling to witness this. And now to come in person and to not have to rely, as nice as it is and as powerful as it is to have that online connection with all of you. You all get to see us, but we don't get to see you, see? So now I'm getting payback with Well, you laugh, but I can't tell you how often when I meet devotees around the world and they say, brother, it was so nice to see you in this video or that video, and I think, well, maybe, but I didn't get to see you. So now I am. That's why I like to make these visits. I'm on my way to India with Brother Saralananda. Be my 5th time going there every few years, except for during the pandemic. And when we planned this visit, actually started planning it. The YSX monks started planning it about one day after I left last time. And I said, okay, a couple of years, and I'd love to come back. So then they were planning that, and then a few months back, I said to my staff, well, let's look at the map here. Here's Los Angeles, and then we can go over this way to India. And you know what? I want to go to Australia. I want to come to. I want to go to Australia on the way to India. And they said, but brother, Australia really isn't on the way to India. I said, don't bore me with the details. We're going. So I'm here. God bless you all. So we have not only this amazing, fairly new set of opportunities for connecting with that power of spiritual environment, for that reinforcement of group meditation, that online nourishing of our spiritual life through the steady stream of programs and meditations and talks and classes. And of course, nothing could really supersede the beautiful spirit that all of you cultivate in your wonderful Sydney Center. So all of these things combined, it's put SRF and YSS into a new era. And all of you, congratulations that you're here to witness this, and not only to witness it, but to help make it happen. We're in this together. That's really what I'm trying to say. As these linkages have strengthened and become more dynamic and more continuous over the last few years, it just has become such a sense of all of Guruji's divine souls, all of the disciples and followers of his teachings around the world. There's such a much more obvious feeding in of the enthusiasm, of the dedication, of the sincerity, of the loyalty, of the self-sacrifice and service of devotees around the world. And I know all of you feel, and I feel, and I can vouch 100%. Our Guru is absolutely thrilled and grateful for all that all of you devotees and the others around the world are doing to help his divinely given mission take its next step. You know, along with just this outer, you might say, strengthening or growth of the fellowship aspect, the global sangha of SRF and YSS. Along with that, I think in these last 5 years, something else has been happening too. And I would say it began back with the introduction of that magnificent set of the new edition of the SRF and YSS lessons, which, as you heard in the introduction, was the life work of our revered Sri Mrinalini Mata, given to her by Gurudev. And you've heard me, those of you who follow the videos and things, you've heard me talk on other occasions how she was trained by him from a very early age, just as a teenager, and then throughout her life, and literally up until days even before she left her body. I won't go into that now. As just an amazing thing to witness how she poured herself so completely into that. And then to see in the time since then, 2017, 2018, to see those lessons make their way into the hearts, into the homes of so many around the world. And not only English speaking, but so many different languages, more on the way. But what we have really come to see, I feel, and I hear this and I see this in the lives of devotees, we begin to appreciate, I think in a deeper way, what a clearer, what a tremendously systematic path of teaching, path of spiritual discipline our Guru brought 105 years ago to the US and then spread over the world. Certainly the system of meditation, which even by itself, just the meditation techniques, that has a value and a power beyond words, treasure beyond words. But in addition to that system of meditation, we now have a wider or a more available toolbox, you might say, so that not only in meditation, but in our daily lives, that it's this system, this way of life, this teaching of self-realization, it's a whole way of life based on the universal principles which, as I said a minute ago, and as our Guru predicted, those how to live principles, universal principles that the world must adopt. The world must come to incorporate, independent of any religious or sectarian affiliation, but these universal how to live principles based on meditation, that these are increasingly becoming necessary, being adopted increasingly by people all around the world. And our Guru, I have 1,000% conviction of the power and the enduring meaning and significance of what he brought. And to see this gradually taking root and coming more and more into expression in the world, it gives us hope. We're not out of the troubled times yet, but it gives us hope. And it gives us, beyond hope, it gives us a foundation that we can plant our 2 feet on, isn't it? Don't you feel that? That, you read and you see on the television or you read in the news about all these things the world is going through. And then you know that, yes, I am part of this world. At the same time, my Guru has given me a passport outside of this world, to a higher realm, a foundation of truth, a foundation of even-mindedness, of calmness, of strength, inner strength, and resilience, where we just walk perhaps into our meditation room or into our meditation center, sit down before that altar, Jesus Christ, Bhagavan Krishna, Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Sri Yukteswar, and Gurudev Paramahansa Yogananda. We sit before that, and gradually those physical images, if we cultivate that relationship, that becomes a dynamic portal. And all we need to do is put ourselves in a receptive state, put ourselves not only outwardly, but inwardly in front of that altar, and then feel that flow, that ceaseless flow of strength, of encouragement, of power, of upliftment, of guidance, of a sense that, yes, all will be well. Guruji so memorably said, this world will always have turmoil and trouble. What are you worried about? Go to the shelter of God, where the masters have gone. And here's the key point, where they have gone and from where they are watching and helping the world. Never forget that. Never forget when you are sitting in front of that beautiful SRF YSS altar of those divine beings who were sent to usher this cycle of civilization into a higher age. When you sit there and when you make that connection with your heart, with your kutastha, your spiritual eye, and feel their living presence, then as Guruji said, from that place where they are watching and helping the world, you are in their light. You are in their care. You are in their benediction and flow of grace. All I have to do is look around and see the utter stillness and the utter acknowledgement in so many souls sitting here today. I know I'm, as they say, preaching to the choir. Is that the expression? But it's nice to come together and celebrate this together, isn't it? I'm not telling you anything new. You know this. And we can all deepen this together. So that's why in my talks over the last few years, I keep coming back to several things. The importance of what we individually can derive, what we can individually manifest in our lives through regular practice, through regular deepening of that connection with that great lineage of gurus and our master Paramahansa Yogananda. One that comes is this, as I already alluded to, this ability to live in the world and maintain a divine connection. We live in the material world, and yet we are not alienated. We are not cut off. We have recourse. We have access to that flow, to that current of divine power. If we learn the art of living in the world without losing that divine connection, in other words, to maintain in our daily lives an inner contact with the power and the love of God. That contact with the power and the love of God. And as I have often said again, what a blessed responsibility each follower of this path has to make yourselves, make each one of you to make ourselves into a living link with Christ, Krishna, and the Masters, so that not only do we become transformed, not only do we become purified and made joyous and happy and self-realized, but we become a conduit. We become, in a way, just a little more open pore through which their light, through which their help can spread out over the world. Be that living link between Christ, Krishna, and the Masters. And by doing these things, we become, as I love this vision for Guruji's spiritual family, that yes, we're a big group, many souls all over the world, and yet that fellowship is such an individually grounded and individual effort on the path. Nobody's going to make the effort for us. Even the gurus, those supremely enlightened ones, Guruji used to say, not even a master can do everything for you. You have to supply. You have to supply that key. You have to supply that missing ingredient, which is what? Is your willingness, your receptivity, your dedication. But doing that then allows the Guru to help you become a mystic in the heart of the world. So doing these things, we benefit ourselves, and never forget, we are serving the world. I'm thinking back just as I'm speaking to you. You know, when we left Los Angeles, it was quite a dramatic period with the terrible raging fires in different parts of Los Angeles. And I think all of you probably have already heard the wonderful and very humbling and awe-inspiring story of the lake shrine being saved from the devastation, no other word for it, the devastation in the surrounding community. But when we think about how the light, how the power, how the strength of our gurus flows through this worldwide network, through the power of prayer, there was an example of it. From the time that we made aware that these fires were approaching and being near the lake shrine, there was this amazing response from all over the world, India, Europe, Australia, South America, North America, all around the globe, in that power of the worldwide prayer circle. And never doubt for a moment what an amazing effect that produced in real time in these last few weeks. You know, in talking and thinking about the how our gurus, how to live sadhana, or path of spiritual discipline, how that has become clearer, more crystallized, more, I would say, available to each of us. I feel like with the advent of these the new lessons, with the advent of the online programs, the online meditation center, all of these things together, that it's come into focus how what an amazing spiritual toolbox our Guru has given us. And I want to just mention three in particular, because sometimes devotees write to me, or they ask when we have meetings like this, and they said, well, out of the teachings or out of the practices that our Guru teaches, what have you used, brother? What have you used to help navigate through the twists and turns of the spiritual path? And really, three of them come to mind, and these are so deeply implicit, so deeply ingrained in the lessons, in Guruji's teachings and writings and so on. But again, the missing ingredient is we have to deploy them. We have to take them out of that spiritual toolbox and put them into use. So just to mention three of them. First, I'll just list them, and then I'll touch on their significance briefly. One of them, I would say, is a knowledge and an understanding of the yoga science of identity, the yoga science of identification. Another one is what I've come to think of as the yoga psychology of Paramahansa Yogananda. The yoga psychology of Paramahansa Yogananda. And a third one, the yoga science of vibration. The yoga science of understanding and using the laws of vibration in creation. Now you might say, well, brother, these sound, kind of abstruse, a little bit intellectual, and I want to be a devotee, not a PhD. Right? Okay, I get it. And yet, when we understand these, and more important, when we use them, we see that these are so eminently practical. These are the basis, really, of living a spiritual life, wherein we can live in the material world and not lose our divine connection, wherein we can increasingly become, in our lives, an open link, an open portal for Christ, Krishna, and the Masters, wherein we can increasingly walk through this world as a mystic in love with God. There's no higher joy in life. There's no higher fulfillment in life than just to feel, to look out over God's creation, even with the less desirable modifications that his wayward children have affected, yes. But even then, to perceive behind all the noise, behind all the static, behind all of the cross-current of sometimes, yes, negative and chaotic vibrations, there is that stillness, and in that stillness, there is that divine beauty, there is that divine harmony, there is that divine joy. And each one of us can partake of that. That's what it means to be a mystic in the heart of the world. So we say, well, why should we be interested in these three things? These yoga science of identity, yoga science of vibration, the yoga psychology that our guru taught. Well, let's take them one at a time. First of all, the yoga science of identification, that's what gives us the conscious ability to go through this world, to walk through this world, identified with our immortal self, identified with our soul, our divine self, rather than, as Guruji so memorably put it, don't be a cringing mortal being. You are an eternal being. You are a child of God. And the more, we have to claim that identity. We have to claim that. And in the lessons, in the techniques, and in the teachings of Guruji, he tells us, we may not even know that he's telling us, but if we just practice what he does, we are putting into practice this yoga science of identification. Because the Guruji said this, he said, where the energy is, there's your consciousness. And we take that law and we apply it through the Hong Sa technique, through the Om technique, most of all through Kriya Yoga. And we get control, as you all know, you've learned the techniques. We get control of that outward flow of life energy, of prana, that's constantly keeping us fixated and in a worried state of mind, in a ruffled or distracted or fearful state of mind, and enabling us to reverse that and find that place where God and Gurus live within us. So we become what we concentrate on. Remember that. When we concentrate on God, when we concentrate on our souls in meditation, and I would add to that, when we study the Guru's lessons, when we study the Guru's teachings with concentration, that law is powerfully coming into effect. We become what we concentrate on, and when we concentrate on the Guru's words coming to us through those divine lessons, they are filled with a constant affirmation, you are a child of God. You are an eternal divine being. And the more we allow that to become our object of concentration, that's who we become. That's what we become. Then we have, related to that, this yoga psychology. And I use that just as a term in my own mind for what Guruji gave us in the science of how to use the mind, the instruments of willpower, of concentrated attention, of self-control, to use those to achieve success, to achieve fulfillment in our lives, to achieve even-mindedness, to achieve peace. So that's the greatest tool, that those techniques of right attitude, of introspection, of positive thinking that our Guru lays out for us in all of the lessons, that the greatest tool for overcoming fears, overcoming moods, overcoming negative emotions, overcoming the influence of the weight of the world that's all too present if we don't have recourse to some divine source of strength and wisdom and power as our Guru gives to us. Then coming to the third one, this power of vibration. As I mentioned, we live in a world, unfortunately, because there are strong currents of restlessness, of materialistic vibration, degrading, sometimes destructive vibrations that, if we are not watchful, those energize and activate our lower material nature, usually to our detriment. Usually to our detriment. This is the lessons that the soul learns after repeated burning of the fingers, you might say, or stumbling or undergoing all the varied experiences of life. Each one of you has come to that point of evolution where you realize, that I am going on a higher path. I am going to take control of the vibrations that get root in my heart, in my mind, in my attitudes. And how do we do that? Once again, meditation, that Om technique. What are we doing? We're tuning in with that vibratory presence of the Great Spirit, the great eternal Creator, infinite power, infinite joy, infinite unconditional love. And we make a receptive channel, a receptive attunement with that vibration in our lives. And then we become racehorses on the spiritual path. Like all of us before we came on this path, and most people in the world may not even realize that there even exists these resources, these techniques, this system of how to live that enables us to organize, to harmonize, to purify, to perfect that inner environment, which is so much more important than the outer environment in the end result. It's what we are inside, where we live, how we live inside. That there exists this systematic technique, systematic methodology for harmonizing, purifying, and perfecting that inner environment. And that's what these teachings, that's what this great science of Kriya Yoga, this how to live teaching of our Guru brings to us. I love that term that he gave, the how to live teachings. And as he predicted, and as we see around us, and as we see in our own lives that motivates us to go deeper in them, they're not just how to live teachings, is it? They're really how to survive in this world. It's sort of, this is just the baseline. You start with learning how to live, and then otherwise, it's really how to survive with any semblance of inner peace, any semblance of meaning and direction and purpose and understanding in this world. Well, let's just take one of these and put it into practice together. I don't come to give lectures. I don't come to give discourses on this aspect of the teachings or whatever, but really just to connect with devotees and together to experience the power of the teachings. So let's take one example, and I chose this one, which is the example of how to overcome the vibration of fear in our lives. Very useful how to live, how to survive skill. So Guruji tells us, first of all, whenever we find ourselves dwelling in an unsettled state, in a state of worry or a state of fear, first thing is just to acknowledge that, to become aware of it. And then to understand that fear, just like any psychological force, any force in this world of duality, it always has two sides to it. So the negative side, the downside of fear consciousness is that it makes us feel helpless. It makes us feel helpless. It makes us feel like I'm in this situation and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do to resolve this situation. I'm afraid. So helplessness, that's the negative side of fear. But fear has a positive side to it as well. That, we don't have to make it let us feel like I'm helpless. Instead, train ourselves. When that vibration of fear arises, let that be a reminder. It's a simple reminder or acknowledgement that there are higher forces in this world that are greater than I am. Fear comes to us just to point out to us that there's something that needs our attention, that we have to avoid, we have to deal with. But the spiritually constructive use of that is as a reminder, there are powers in this world that are greater than I am, and I need to make a contact with that power. So I want you just to close your eyes, and I'm going to read this guided meditation that Guruji gave. He had a wonderful presentation of this yoga science of vibration. It was in our Self-Realization magazine a couple of issues back, 2023. So let's experience this yoga science of vibration together as taught by Gurudev. So I'm going to read his words. He says, before the rhythmic vibrations of God's perfect harmony, all wrong vibrations are consumed, all discordance is destroyed. Establish God's vibration on the altar of your heart, meditate, calm the heart, and then pray. So meditate, as you did for that period before we started this talk. Calm the heart, and then pray. Pray like this, and you just visualize and follow along Guruji's prayerful words. Through every feeling and every pore of my heart, O purifying light, O incandescent flood divine, flow through me, that I may create in myself and my environment vibrations of health, of power, of wisdom and love, and at the same time burn away all inharmonious and wrong vibrations. Infinite Father, let that heavenly vibration of thy presence descend through my medulla into my brain, into my body, into my hands. Visualize and feel his power as you pray, Guruji said. Now he said, next part of the technique, raise your hands just over your head. Fingers and hands, he said, are very sensitive antennas through which we can attune to finer and higher vibrations. He said, raise your hands over your head, concentrate, and you will feel that vibration trickling through the sensitive antenna of the fingers and hands. Say, Father, I receive thy divine energy blessing me through my hands. Feel that. I receive thy divine energy blessing me, flowing through my hands. Roast and electrocute all latent seeds of wrong vibrations within me. Charge my brain, my soul, my mind with thy power. And you can lower your hands. And then go on and pray with Guruji, inwardly visualizing, Heavenly Father, manifest thyself on the altar of my being. I shall behold the good in everything. Give me the determination to contact that great Holy Ghost Om vibration in meditation, and to radiate the harmony of that vibration to all. So beautifully, Guruji said, when that vibration flows from within you, you don't have to worry. He said, if you're in a Hades, you will make a heaven there. And if you're in a heaven, you'll just make it better. So he says, in conclusion, let that vibration flow through your hands, through your eyes, through your feet, and whoever comes in contact with you will feel its blessing. Just say inwardly, God flows through me. What am I afraid of? God flows through me. What am I afraid of? And wherever you are, that vibration will correct wrong surroundings. You will absorb only good vibrations when you're in that state of spiritual attunement. Dear ones, it's this experiential dimension of Guruji's writings and teachings that each of us has to constantly mine and constantly activate, constantly bring into our daily thoughts, our daily attitudes, our daily interactions with the world. Don't be a helpless victim of what's going on in the world around us. When something comes to threaten to dislodge us from that firm foundation of calmness, that firm foundation of understanding, of kindness toward others, of understanding and empathy and compassion towards others, and most of all, that firm foundation of, I am a child of God. I am an eternal soul. I am a radiating ray of spirit. All of those qualities of spirit, all of those qualities of God are flowing through my soul, and I can consciously attune with whatever is most needed, with whatever is most appropriate, with whatever is called for in the circumstances in which I find myself. Don't you want to walk through the world doing that? Yes, that's what the disciples of Paramahansa Yogananda are called upon to do. Don't be daunted. Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. Don't be indifferent. Everything in this world comes to us for a reason, and it's for one overarching reason, which is to bring out of our souls that response, that, oh, this is happening. Okay, that's all right, because I can pull this from within my Guru's teachings. I can pull this from within my soul. I am a child of God. No vibrations of materiality, no vibrations of fear, of worry, of hate, or meanness, or misunderstanding can touch me, because I know how to use that power, that science of vibration. And I know how to use that science of identification to constantly bring myself back to, I am not a cringing mortal being. I am a child of God. There's so much to share with all of you, but we couldn't possibly cover it in such a short meeting like this. But I have to tell you, when I thought about coming, spend some time with Guruji's devotees in Australia, and I thought to myself, well, Master, what can I bring to them? What can I share with them? And when you close your eyes and you go within, and there's such a consciousness of just that amazing ocean of inspiration, of power that comes to each of us through his teachings. And honestly, there's nothing that I can do, nothing I would rather do than simply to tell you, to remind you what you already have, what you've been given. All it takes is just a little time each day through these principles we've talked about, meditation, divine fellowship, to draw consciously on that power of spiritual friendship, that power of spiritual community, to keep that determination, to keep that courage, to keep that conviction alive in us. It just takes that, and then through that amazing ocean, treasure house of spiritual knowledge, spiritual techniques, spiritual blessings, all reinforced and energized by his living blessings. What have you got to worry about? What have we got to worry about? Nothing. As I said, remember, we become what we concentrate on. That's why our Guru said, try to live in that consciousness where you, bringing the mind back again and again, just to that one thought, God, Christ, Gurus, God, 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 Christ, Gurus. And remember, not only do we become what we concentrate on, but remember the most powerful form of concentration is what? It's love. Love is the strongest form of concentration. When you imbue those prayers, when you imbue your spiritual efforts with that longing, with that love for God, you are applying that science of vibration, that science of identification, and that yoga psychology 10,000%. Love for God, and we become what we concentrate on. Love for God, we become of God. How beautiful, how simple life becomes. So again, I always feel that the only real service that I can perform for this worldwide spiritual family is simply again and again to remind us all of what we've been given and of the joy, the courage, the satisfaction, the fulfillment that comes when we build our lives around these how to live teachings, around these techniques of Kriya Yoga meditation. I've seen it not only in the great disciples of Guruji, I was blessed to be mentored by, but in tens of thousands of followers of this path around the world. I know that it works. You know that it works. More to the point, you know that it works. Make that continuity of effort. Keep that link, keep that channel open, and let that transforming flood of Guruji's divine consciousness wash over you, sustain you, purify you, bless you, and uplift you every day of your life. These teachings are going to be a spiritual dynamo for the world at large, but all of you have a magnificent head start on it. Use them, fill your life with joy, fill your life with power to accomplish good, success, peace, and a deep sense of inner fulfillment that you are living according to the divine plan for which each of us has been placed here on earth. You are fulfilling that. God bless you. Guruji bless you. May his love and blessings and ceaseless flow of divine consciousness be with you every day of your lives until you reach out and find his hand outstretched to you, and he takes your hand and places it in the hand of that infinite beloved, Father, Mother, friend, beloved of the universe. Now we are home. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru.
This has been a production of Self-Realization Fellowship, a non-profit organization founded by Paramahansa Yogananda in 1920. For more information about Self-Realization Fellowship and Paramahansa Yogananda, please visit yogananda.org.